In this video, I'm going to show you how I designed and built this miniature vault. The design is a sequel to the locking vault that I published over the summer, but this has two major improvements. The first is the front panel, which is now clear acrylic so you can see the gears inside the door. One of the big issues I had with my original vault is that you can't see any of the cool gears on the inside of the door when this thing's actually closed. And this thing is closed almost 100% of the time, so I wanted something that actually looked a bit more interesting when it was closed and locked. The second improvement is the lock itself. You can see there's now a dial for a combination lock rather than the keyed lock on my old vault. The lock here is fully 3D printed, and it's based on an actual bank vault lock referred to as a Group 2 vault lock. The entire design of this whole thing revolves around the lock itself, so the first step was to make a standalone lock as a pathfinder to prove that it would even be possible. And this is what I came up with. This is a functioning Group 2 vault lock, and it's actually less complicated than you might think. Inside the lock there are 3 orange wheels, and each one has a cutout. The gold piece here is called the cam, and it's connected to the dial. Resting on the cam and the 3 wheels is this blue piece known as the fence. In order to unlock this, we need to orient all 3 wheels with their cutouts located underneath the fence, and then we can retract the bolt using the cam, which you can see has a cutout in it which aligns with the fence. So as we do one final rotation, it will retract the bolt. Looking at this from the top, we can see that there's a tab on each of the orange wheels and there's a tab on the cam itself. As we rotate the dial, the tab on the cam is going to come and make contact with the tab on the first wheel. And if we keep rotating in the same direction, a tab on the back of the first wheel is going to come around and make contact with a tab on the second wheel. If we keep going in the same direction even further, the same thing's going to happen where a tab on the back of the second wheel is going to come and grab the third wheel. So we now are spinning all 3 wheels with the dial. And we're going to keep spinning until the cutout on the third wheel is aligned beneath the fence. Like that. If we start turning the dial in the opposite direction, the same thing's going to happen except the wheels are going to spin in the opposite direction. They'll still go sequentially, so the first wheel is going to spin first, and then the second wheel. Except this time we're going to stop when the second wheel has the cutout located beneath the fence. So each stopping point where a cutout aligns with the fence becomes one of the digits of the combination. So this is a mechanism at the heart of the combination lock. With the lock figured out, I started designing the vault mechanism. I wanted the dial in the center and the knob to be to the side. So I created a series of gears which transfer the rotation from the knob to a central gear, which then drives an outer ring of gears and extends the bolts. I modeled everything in Fusion 360 and printed a few test prints to make sure everything actually worked. The gears all rotate on metal dowels, so I had to get creative to make sure that the dowels are actually perpendicular, and also to avoid glue oozing out when I inserted the dowels into the mounting holes. Inside the mounting holes, I added little recesses so that the glue will go down rather than trying to come back up when I insert it. And this will give a nice clean area for the gears to rotate. In order to get the dowels perpendicular, I printed a jig, and I just simply put it on and left it there while the glue dried. The next morning, I removed the jig and was ready to start installing the lock. The first piece of the lock is the center core, which is inserted into the center hole of the door frame. Next, I added the wheels one by one with a spacer between each wheel. I used super glue to secure the spacers to the frame, so I had to be very careful that no excess glue squeezed out and glued one of the wheels to the frame. That would have completely destroyed this whole thing. I also glued the knob mount to the frame, which is the last piece we'll glue to the frame for now. Up next, I had to prepare the front panel, which is made out of acrylic and sandwiched between 2 3D printed frames. I had never worked with acrylic before, and honestly I had no idea where to start, so that's where PCBWay came in handy. They offer CNC'd acrylic, and that's what I decided to go with. I designed the piece I wanted in Fusion 360, the same program I used to design all the 3D printed parts, and I uploaded it to PCBWay. They have a handy feature which lets you view the model after uploading it to ensure that it is correct, and they have representatives available to answer questions you may run into. I placed the order, and a week later I had the acrylic ready to install. PCBWay was kind enough to send me these pieces for free, so thanks to PCBWay for supporting this video. The 3D printed frames need to have a solid connection with the acrylic panel, so I used a toothpick to delicately apply JB Weld to the back of the first plastic frame. This was very tedious because I wanted to be sure that the bond between the frame and the acrylic was as strong as possible without any of the glue squeezing out and being an ugly mess. With the JB Weld applied, I removed the protective film from one side of the acrylic panel and delicately placed it on the frame, making sure the holes aligned with the frame, and left it overnight to dry. The next day, I applied JB Weld to the second frame and removed the protective film from the backside of the acrylic. There we go. You can see all the JB Weld. Gluing the second frame to the acrylic was the most nerve-wracking part of this entire assembly because I ran the risk of smearing JB Weld on the exposed bits of acrylic if I misaligned the frame, and that would look awful. But thankfully I managed to install it successfully. Yet again, I set it to the side and let the glue dry overnight. Next, I got the lock frame ready by installing the metal dowel on which the dial will rotate. I carefully glued it in place and printed off this little jig to keep the dowel vertical while the glue set, just like I did for the door frame. While I waited for the glue to dry, I began assembling the vault box, starting with the jamb itself, which is the front face. I had to print this in 3 different pieces to avoid huge amounts of support material, but they're easy enough to glue together. There are keys in each piece, so they snap together and there's no worry about misalignment. The 3 pieces combine to create a rigid front face to the box, including the mounting points for the door hinge. After the glue dried, I attached the front face to the rest of the vault box. There's a shelf inside the box, so I put it in place, but I didn't glue it down because I needed the front face of the box facing up while the glue dries, and that wouldn't work with the shelf, so I had to do it in 2 steps. If you can't tell, this project involves lots of downtime waiting for glue to dry. Now that enough time has passed, I'm ready to continue work on the door frame. I'm going to attach a lock frame to the back of the door, but first I need to add in the cam and the fence. I already connected the fence to the bolt here with a metal dowel, and it's important that the fence can swing freely because if there's any friction or resistance, it could cause a lock to get stuck in the locked position, which would obviously be catastrophic. I added a bit of grease to the frame to help the bolt slide easily and without any squeaky noises. Attaching the lock frame to the back of the door is a bit difficult because the fence wants to fall out of the frame when I put them together. I had to manually orient the cutouts on the lock wheels so that they're aligned, and then carefully attach the lock frame, fence, and cam while trying to thread the fence through the cutouts of the lock wheels. There are holes in the door frame to help get everything aligned, and when everything is lined up, I pushed it together and added a few screws to keep it connected. I left a little window in the top of the lock frame to give a view of the fence and the wheels, and I used this to determine the combination of the lock, after which I added a little cap to enclose the lock completely. There's a hole in the door, and that's where the lock will interact with the knob for the vault mechanism. Right now the door would be unlocked, but if I twist the cam clockwise, it will move the orange bolt into the locked position. As a reminder, this is what's happening inside the lock to move the bolt. This is a gear for the knob, and it rotates on this metal dowel. On the bottom, the profile has flat edges which can't rotate when the bolt is locked, and a small protrusion to act as a stop when the bolt mechanism is fully extended. The door still looks bare at this point, but it's about to get interesting. It's time to add the gears. gear's installed, it's time to add the front panel. It slides right on and it's held in place with a little bit of JB weld, although it would probably work with a friction fit also. I pressed it down to make sure it was secure, and thankfully, the gears inside the door were still able to rotate freely. The dial for the combination lock goes on next. It's printed in 2 parts, and there's a key in both pieces which align with the protrusion on the cam. I added some glue and attached the dial. After the dial, I added the door handle which mounts on 2 metal dowels which are serving double duty as an axle for the gears and as a connection point for the handles. I used the same method to connect the hinge mount, but since this will hold the weight of the entire door, I used 6 dowels for this connection. These pieces were secured with JB weld also, which I didn't record. There's one piece left to add, and it's the doorknob. I just pop it on, and the door is done. This door is by far the most complicated thing I've ever built. There are 52 3D printed parts in this door, with 27 metal dowels, but everything fits together and works perfectly. It looks great if I do say so myself, and with the door complete, I'll just set it aside and let the glue dry before installing it in the box. Alright, at long last I'm ready to connect the door on the box, which will complete the project. I glued down the shelf earlier, but it was boring, so I'm not going to show it. The door connects to the box with 2 metal dowels, so I just need to put the door into the jamb and align the openings to push in the dowel. Getting the first pin was a bit tricky, but I got it eventually, and the second one was easier. And with that, the vault is done. This project pushed me to my limits, and there were more than a few moments when I was ready to give up, but I'm glad that I pushed through because the vault looks great and I learned a lot. At the moment, I don't plan on uploading the files to printables because I worry it's so intricate and complex that even experienced hobbyists would have significant issues. But I'm willing to upload it if there's enough interest, so let me know in the comments if you want to build one for yourself, and I'll think about it. If I upload the files, I'll need to make a much more detailed assembly video showing countless steps that I skipped over in this video, so I don't want to go through all that if no one will actually build one. If you made it this far, I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you loved the video, hit subscribe because I have more projects in the works. Thanks for watching.